Hi everybody, Chris Tracy here with another module of Lead Generation University, and I am uh, beyond excited to have this next presenter on. His name is Tyler Collins, and he is from Orange County SEO, and he is, in my opinion, one of the leading experts in the world in search engine optimization, and he is going to do his first presentation today for us in a series that we have planned out for you on how you can start to implement your own search engine optimization techniques, what's really working today, because as you may or may not know, or if you've tried to do search engine optimization for your own website, it can be a very mysterious and a very daunting task to do so. And for your average person to try to implement some things that really work to try to give your website more exposure for your business, if you're a real estate agent, you're trying to get your website out there so you can find more people that are looking to buy or sell a house. Your time is very precious, and you really don't want to be monkeying around. You really want it done right, and you really want to get someone in there that kind of knows how to do it and do it effectively. Tyler is very, I don't even know how to explain it, but he's really dialed in with SEO, and that's the problem with SEO as I see it nowadays. As I've tried it, and it's just too time consuming. And and Google is constantly changing, so I wanted to kind of create this forum here and bring in, one of the top experts today to really pull back the curtains on all of this and set the stage and clarify and give you some step-by-step tips and really teach you the right way to do this and get things going for yourself so that you can be in the good graces of Google. So how's it going, Tyler?
It's going great. Thanks for the intro, Chris. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and I know that you have probably an incredible amount of clients that you work with, a lot of businesses that you help getting their SEO up and running. And again, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now, kind of watching this presentation and getting to kind of learn all this for myself. So just briefly, Tyler, I kind of scratched the surface on a little bit of an intro for you, but how did you become kind of like one of the top dogs in SEO nowadays? How did you become an expert in all of this and doing search engine optimization?
Well, thank you for those compliments. There are a lot of very, very talented people in search engine optimization. I think the ones that are good now and still good or good today are the ones that are really paying close attention to what's going on currently in search. That's something that I've always tried to do since 2002. I was building my own e-commerce stores. I basically just took a leap, as a young, early 20-year-old. Didn't want to work at the surf shops anymore. Didn't want to, wait tables and stuff like that. I kind of had a scientific, geeky side to me, and just started looking into internet businesses and things like that. So I ended up building my own first e-commerce store in 2003 and did pretty well with it. First learned how to code, how to do HTML, set up the shopping cart, all that kind of stuff, and then realized that I had this website but nobody was finding it, and so nobody was buying any products. So I had to figure out traffic generation and lead gen, and SEO was one of the things that I grabbed to very quickly and thought it was, I don't know, there's something powerful about it. I obviously understood the concept. There's a lot of people searching on Google. I wanted my site to be positioned there. So I set out with this very obsessive approach to figuring out how the search engines worked, and for a while I was just working on my own site, but the market that I was in, I started to outrank a lot of the brands that I was carrying, and at one point they started to reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, you're outranking us for our own branded products. How is that so? Can you help us? So I started doing some consulting and some services, and these were pretty big companies at the time, and I was just one guy. I didn't even have a team yet, and it reached a point where I was was maxed out on how many clients I could handle as one individual, and started building a team. So now my team consists of about 35 people, all dedicated to different modules of web development and search engine optimization, and social, and all the different aspects of SEO. There's a lot of different components to it. There's on page, there's off page, there's PR, social linking, all types of different coding standards and things like that. So there's a lot involved, and it's great to have a team that is, to answer your question, if I'm good or my services are good, that's definitely a byproduct of a long time paying attention and watching trends, but also paying attention today, and also having my team, because they give a lot of value to our processes and our clients' results and things like that. And we share information collectively internally in our company, as well as doing a lot of collaboration with other firms and mastermind groups and things like that. So I think that those who are good at SEO have to be completely submerged in it. There's no messing around with SEO. You're either 100% dedicated to it and you know what's working now, or you have a trusted advisor that's telling you what to do, or or the results just aren't there. But yeah, it's a fun game to be in. It's always changing. I think that's why I like it. It keeps me guessing. Keeps me testing, keeps me looking at data, which is sometimes fun, not always, but it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, awesome. Great story. I always love to hear the success stories of just where it's just an everyday guy. Like you said, you didn't feel like being a bartender or waiting tables, or whatever. You said, you know what, I'm just gonna start my own thing, and then you just blew up. And like you said, you've got 35 staff members. Looks like you have a nice office set up there in the background. But yeah, good stuff. So how can a person get started with all of this? Because I know that you said there's so much to it. There's social media. You gotta, there's online. There's offline. And as a real estate agent or a small business owner, and I'm probably preaching to the choir as an entrepreneur, your time is extremely valuable, and you always try to focus on what's the highest and best use of your time. For a real estate agent, you're trying to find a client, like a buyer or a seller of a property, and to go in and try to do all your own SEO, your average realtor just doesn't really want to be bothered with it. They probably just hand it off to someone. But if someone, if they're just starting out, or they are attempting to do it themselves, and to do it the right way, like you said, you don't want to monkey around with it, because if you do the wrong thing, and I know that many people have made mistakes in the past, I know that you could probably speak on that, where they try to stuff keywords into a website, and they think they'll just be like, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate all over a web page, and then Google catches onto that, and then they penalize you. So it's obviously crucial, really, to get up and running right from the beginning and do things the right way. Either it's going to be using a professional, or if they try to do something themselves. How can someone go step by step in this? What would be a good, prudent strategy to try to systemize the process if someone wants to kind of do their own SEO?
Sure. Well, it's a good question, because there are so many different aspects of SEO. It's like, where do you start? What are the most important things? Do you write articles? Do you create social media accounts? Do you optimize your website? How do you do that? Is your website even the right fit for a search engine optimization strategy? There's all these different components to it, so it's understandable that there'd be some confusion about what are the most important things to do now, and then what's next. So that's kind of why you and I are going to do a series, is because we're going to go through a number of things relating to SEO and kind of do it in a priority list, at least in terms of educating somebody new to SEO, or even advanced people. I think a lot of advanced people, they understand basic concepts, but they do them poorly. So it's interesting to see that if you advance your fundamental skills with search engine optimization, you can actually get results a lot easier. So we're going to cover a lot of that. But today I've actually prepared a presentation around content. The reason content is because content is largely how the search engines are powered, basically. They sort and organize the world's information and media, and your content on your website, meaning your articles, your images, your videos, whatever information media that you have, is essentially going to contribute to the results you get from search engine optimization. So I put together a short presentation called Content Optimization Secrets for Search Engine Favorability, and I can kind of take us through that if you'd like, if you're ready for that.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely ready. Please.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to switch over and share my screen. If you could just confirm that you do see it when you do.
Yes, we got it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so the first thing I need to tell you is that I do not work for Google, obviously, if you haven't figured that out yet. The following is simply a large data collection and aggregate summaries from myself and my colleagues and other data firms that allow us to draw very strong conclusions about how the search engines work. This is kind of how SEO is. It's just the reality of the situation. You know, Google does publish some general recommendations on how to optimize your site or some general criteria for website quality, but they do not tell you this is how you rank #1. So it's constantly a process of looking at that which does rank #1, asking ourselves intelligently why it does so, and then trying to draw conclusions about how we can execute strategy, and then of course test our own results. It's kind of like that old quote. I think Wayne Dyer said it, where the law of flotation was not discovered by observing things that sink. Okay, it was discovered by observing things which float naturally, right? It's kind of that way with search engine optimization, and it has a lot to do with content. So let's go ahead and get into it. And by the way, if ever I'm being too confusing or too technical, just wave your arms or holler at me, say, hey, I have a question, or you want some clarity on something, feel free to just let me know, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, so Chris, you gave me an intro already. Basically, this slide just talks a little bit about me. I've been doing SEO for 12 years, SEO and digital marketing. I consider myself a geek, practitioner, but mainly I'm a student. The internet is always changing. Technology is always evolving, especially with Google and the search engines. Every day is a new day in search engine optimization, so I show up with my scholar hat on, and I'm prepared to learn. I do speak a lot at other events. I start businesses. We're launching several brands right now, and I founded Orange County SEO to basically help small and large businesses with search engine optimization. And I specialize in a lot of different areas. So let's talk a little bit about how search engines work and what their main function is. They basically just sort and organize information and media. They do that very sophisticatedly. They've got big buildings full of the best mathematicians in the world, big warehouses full of servers, and these guys in these machines just sit together all day trying to create the most powerful, advanced, secret formulas for organizing this information and presenting it to the world. So they're really good at doing it, and they're very sophisticated at it, and our job is to understand exactly how they do that so that we can better present information to the world that the search engines will like. They serve one main purpose, and that's to correctly answer questions. Okay, their business model would essentially fail if they failed to answer questions. And what questions are these? They're user search queries. So when you and I go and type in something like how to grow a pumpkin or how to carve a pumpkin, that's a question. If we're typing in cheap flights to Austin, Texas, that's a question. Or directions to your local dentist or nearest SEO company. Those are questions that we're asking the search engine, and it's their job to answer them as effectively as possible. Search engines index and organize many different types of content and media. It's not just text. It's not just articles. It's videos, images, graphics, icons, flight information, PDFs, news stories, slideshows, mobile apps. There's all kinds of rich media that the search engines like to sort and organize. They've come a long way. It didn't used to be this way, but now they can index, PDF files. You see those showing up in search. They've got news stories categorized as news. So it's important to understand that there's different types of media that the search engines can actually read, understand, and index. And the reason that is important is because sometimes you'll perform a search and you'll see all kinds of different results, different media showing up. And basically what this means is universal search. They call it universal search. Google has an algorithm called query deserves diversity. It's a response mechanism to a certain query. Sometimes it's so general that they want to serve up different types of media. It basically means that for any given search, the best results might be a variety or a diversity of different types of media. And here's a good example. If you were to type in tsunami in Google, you'd see a government listing, a .gov, a Wikipedia result, a YouTube video, a news listing, some images, a restaurant, I think in Utah or something, a weather channel, a museum, in-depth articles, and a social media listing. And that's about as diverse as it gets, right? That's not just a bunch of blogs. That's not just a bunch of news stories. That's extremely diverse. So understanding the different types of media that are being displayed for the given search query that you'd like to rank for is really important. So analyze your market. If you're looking at real estate in, Utah or California or Orange County or whatever city you're in, type in an address, type in the different potential keywords people are using to search for what it is that you offer or the listings you're trying to get, traction for. Get an understanding of what types of media are being displayed for the search queries, because understanding that will help you better prepare content that deserves to rank, and we're going to get into that in a second. But before we do, I'd like to point out in the bottom here with the green arrows, in-depth articles. These are being seen a lot more frequently, and what they indicate is that there's a growing importance of longer, more complex documents that are more comprehensive. We're talking multiple thousands of words for these in-depth articles, and Google's actually starting to give them their own category for certain searches. So longer content is starting to become very important, just something to keep in mind and keep an eye out for the given searches you're looking at. Search engines love rich media. Okay, they value text. They enjoy reading words. They can count words. They can count sentences. They can check your spelling. They can do all kinds of creative things with text. But they also can analyze and organize and index and understand different types of media. So videos, news, PDFs, the in-depth articles we just talked about, images, these are all examples of rich media. There's also MP3 files can be indexed. Basically any file can be indexed as a tip. So understanding the different types of media is going to help you better serve your market. And search engines, the reason this is all important is because search engines really favor useful resources, right? A text document is only so valuable to the user, but a text document with a video might be more useful. The search engines are looking for unique and original information. That means it's found here first. That means it's not found anywhere else on the web. That goes for text and images. So if you're thinking, oh, I'll just copy this page of content from my competitor and put it on my site, that's wrong. Don't do that. The search engines can see that same text, that same image has been found on a different site, and that's not going to help you. In fact, you can get into a penalty situation where it can actually hurt you. Fresh or recently updated content, so something that's current or recently edited, is good. Trusted and authoritative, meaning that other sites are linking to it. It has authority. It has maybe some social signals pointing to it. Media rich, meaning it's containing a variety of different media formats. So this is a little wireframe kind of example of how you might structure a page of content, and this is not by any means like the golden rule or a recommendation even. This is just an example of how a particular page could be laid out. And I want everybody to ask themselves this question. You know, if they're trying to get their website ranked or their homepage or an internal page, maybe they created a post and they want to get traffic to it, you have to ask yourself, does this content deserve to rank? And what I mean by that is, in searching for that topic that you're writing about, or the topic of your website, and you look at all the other sites that are ranking in the top 10, and you observe what types of media and what types of information and how long the text is and how many unique images are there and really how resourceful that information is, can you really say that your page belongs in that grouping? Can you really say that your content deserves to rank within or even above those other pages? It's important to think like that, because that's essentially how the search engines think. Of course, they do it with math, but they ask the same question: does this content deserve to rank over another page? So we're going to talk about, mainly today we're going to talk about content, but there are essentially three pillars of on-page optimization. There's technology, which is like the code behind your website pages, the platform you're on, the speed of your server, how fast your pages load, different technology behind, under the hood, essentially. There's content, which we're going to talk about, and then there's user metrics, which is how people are engaging with your site, interacting with your content, whether or not they're clicking on videos, you know, are they staying on your site or are they leaving, how much time are they spending there. These are all things that play a strong role in whether or not your site has all the on-site metrics it needs to. These are kind of setting the tone for future videos. We'll probably do one on technology and user metrics as well. So stay keep posted for those. But today we're going to talk about mainly content, because that is largely the most important part. It's all necessary, but today we're going to talk about mainly content. So there's three groups to focus. One is composition and quality. You've got to be working with some good stuff. Linking. So what are you linking to, and how are you linking to your content? And then advertisements. And there's a reason this is red. Most top-ranking pages today are not cluttered with ads, so we're going to talk about that a little bit too. A lot of people have this bad habit of defaulting to using a bunch of advertisements, AdSense and different ad blocks to serve up what they think is, great money-making stuff, but it can actually tank your ranking. So it's something to be mindful of. Okay, this infographic here was courtesy of Searchmetrics. They're a large data firm. They analyze all kinds of different search engine results. They analyze 10,000 different search queries every year and compare the top 30 ranking pages across all those searches. So they can compile a lot of useful data. And to summarize this, basically what this says is that on average, top-ranking pages had 975 words on average. That's about twice as long as your average article. You go and get an article written by some outsourcer, or you have somebody write a press release for you. Typically, they will have jobs of here's a 400-word article for $30 or whatever it is. Here's a 500-word article for $50. On average, the top-ranking pages have almost double that in a word count, so that's something to think about. That's over 8,000 characters. The number of internal links on a site for the top-ranking pages is about 130. So that includes main navigation, that includes internal linking between from the content to other articles and things like that. Basically, what this suggests is that bigger sites are doing better. And then most of the top-ranking pages did not contain, if any, ads or advertising links. So on-page content, SEO considerations, these are things to keep in mind. Content and its quality are becoming increasingly important again. There was a phase there where it seemed like only links mattered, and we were ranking empty pages for a long time there with just the power of links. That's not the case anymore. It's no longer a keyword-dominated SEO market. You can't just build a page on a keyword. There's a strong shift towards more complex topics We're calling these content clusters. Basically big, it's like those in-depth articles, big in-depth resources. Google Hummingbird is a new algorithm that basically was a rewrite of how they sort and organize content information in their index. The ultimate goal of the change here, and it should be yours as well, is quality and relevance to the search query. And if you're smart, what you'll do is focus on writing content that answers to a variety of different search intent. Understanding the intention behind the search query is really important, and building out your pages to be informative on a variety of topics, be holistic in its nature. It makes it more relevant. It answers more questions. It solves more search intention. And therefore, the byproduct of that is that you rank for more related and additional keywords. So a quick slide on Google Hummingbird. Basically, it's designed to focus on conversational search. When people are talking into their iPhone, asking Siri, where's the best place to go buy a pumpkin for Halloween, there's a lot of conversational type language in there, a lot of words that you wouldn't normally type into the search engine if you were just typing words into Google. So Google's had to respond to this by sort of rewriting their search engine to understand more of the search intent. In the process of doing that, they had to look at how they were, how the content would actually answer those questions. So they're looking at semantic meaning, related words. What is the intention behind those words they're typing in or saying? Answering questions, understanding the user's search intent, and then Hummingbird also focuses on the precision and speed that people expect information, so it has to be very precise and fast. Creating proof is a concept I kind of came up with. There was a guy in the 1900s. He was a philosopher. He made great contributions to the field of linguistics and academics. His name was John Rupert Firth. He said that you shall know a word by the company it keeps. And what this basically means is that if you're creating a document and you profess to be, you claim that this document is about social media marketing, what proof is there? Is there any, what relating words are there around this particular topic that validate its relevance for that given search query? For example, there's going to be a general understanding of the nature of the topic, right? So there's going to be some related words. Obviously, you're going to have words like business and marketing and media and websites. Those words could also be found somewhere else, on a related topic. The proof terms are like social network, engagement, campaigns, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, keywords that are only found in social media marketing related, information. They're proof terms that basically validate that this is in fact a social media marketing page. And a good way to figure out what proof terms and what related topics are for a given search query is by looking at a Wikipedia page that ranks for your given query. You can actually find a lot of good information about on-page content and how to write it by looking at a Wikipedia page. Hey Chris, is this all making sense? Am I going too fast? Do you have any questions for now?
No, this is great. This is fascinating. No, I think your pace is beautiful. I'm loving it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so on-page content, as it relates to linking, linking internally and externally is really important. If you think about a Wikipedia page in relation to linking internally, think about how many internal links are going from page to page on any given Wikipedia site. Okay, almost every Wikipedia page has 20 links, linking from one page to another, and they're linking to other relevant pages. So pages that are semantically and contextually related to that given topic. If you look at that social media page, you're going to see links to, marketing and business and social media campaign and Facebook and all these other pages within the Wikipedia site that are relevant to social media marketing. So if you think like a search engine and you think like an editor at Wikipedia and you're creating, an article on your site, think about what other pages on your site you could link to from that content, and do it as much as possible. Keep it natural. Don't clutter with a bunch of unnecessary or duplicate internal links. But it is important to cross-link between your pages so that you can create a useful resource for your users, as well as gain the attention of the search engine, saying like this is a resource document. It's just something to think about. Google specifically loves resources. And that being said, as much as you want to link internally, you can also link externally too. So there may be other trusted sources out there of information that are relevant to the topic you're writing on. We call these authority links. So an authority link might be, you write a page about real estate in New Hampshire, and then you you create a link to other pages within your site relating to whatever semantic topics are relevant, and then you can also link externally to other news in New Hampshire, real estate law in New Hampshire, whatever other resources or affiliations or groups, or maybe there's a video about real estate in New Hampshire, other authority links that are relevant for that particular page that allow you to cite other trusted sources. That actually boosts the value of your content. So normally I don't spend this much time on this particular slide, but I'm seeing it become more and more important, and I'm seeing a lot of people not use internal and external linking nearly as well as they should be, considering its value. So there's tremendous value here in understanding the nature of internal and external linking. The self-referential link is basically means that the page that ranked in that search metrics analysis, the page that was found in the top 10 or the top 30 was linked to by the site itself. So it was found in the main navigation. It was linked from the footer. Pages that you put on your website and don't include in a main navigation, so essentially the search engines have a hard time finding it, those pages don't rank very well. I'm so surprised to see people still doing this, creating pages on the back end of their website thinking they're going to rank. That's not going to work at all, because you're essentially not even voting for the page. If it's important, you'll put it in the main navigation or put it on a blog feed or something like that. And then the other item here is housekeeping. Make sure you're not allowing any broken links or irrelevant, unnecessary links or anything that's basically corrupting the experience of the user. And a good approach to this is when you're looking at your page, your content, your formatting, your images, your links, ask yourself, is this good for the user? And you can use that filter for just about every change you make. Is this going to enhance the experience of the user on my website? And if the answer is yes, then do it. If the answer is no, then maybe don't do it. Okay, so this is also very important. The use of images. In those 10,000 search queries that were analyzed by Searchmetrics, all the top 30 ranking pages had at least 6 images. That's crazy. 6 images. That's a lot. Most of us were, at least a lot of you are probably still creating articles that don't have any images in them. But if you look at 10,000 of the most popular search queries and analyze the top 30, not just the top 10, the top 30, on average they had above 6 images. That's a lot. That's a lot of images. So, if you're, again, does your content deserve to rank? The tip here is use more unique original images in your content. Try to keep them at least, 300 to 500 pixels wide. If you're doing anything like, if you just did 100 pixel by 100 pixel, images, 6 of them, that's not going to work. You need sizable images, stuff that they can actually index. We're not talking icons or symbols. We're talking about like pictures of stuff, pictures of a house, pictures of you, shaking hands with the client, something like that. The way to optimize your image is mainly by file name. That's the most important piece here. There's an example here on the right. Use the keyword phrase separated by dashes and a web-friendly file extension. In your alt text, do yourself a favor, don't stuff your keywords in your alt text. Use related terms and actually be descriptive about what that image is about. Don't try to spam Google and tell Google the image is something that it's not. They can see that kind of stuff. They actually have image recognition technology, and they guess what your image is about without you even telling them. So it's pretty sophisticated. An image found on the web that's never been found before, Google's going to make a guess first based on their image recognition technology. They're going to look for faces, houses, lakes. They can do all kinds of stuff like that. It's pretty impressive. And then surrounding text, you want to use either a caption or the text next to your image has a lot to do with how that image will rank in search. So there's Google image search, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. The text that you put immediately next to your image and whether or not there's a keyword there will largely determine how that image performs in Google image search. And I imagine with real estate, it may become, it either is or it may become very relevant to consider ranking images for a given house, for example, or an address. I imagine people type in addresses both in the regular web search as well as the image search. So I think that would be a way that you guys could, if you're in the real estate niche, you could take advantage of Google image search in that regard. So the use of ads, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but basically most of the top ranking 30 pages in those 10,000 queries did not contain many ads, if any. On average, there was less than one. So my tip is don't use them if you can. If you are integrating ads, limit the usage and place them below the fold, and avoid clutter and redundancy. All right, so this is essentially a formula. This is your 10 steps to creating high-ranking content. The first question you need to ask yourself is what is your topic? Don't go and just start writing. Ask yourself, what's your topic? What are you trying to create here? Whether it's a blog post or an article or a news story, what's your main topic? Don't even start writing until you're clear on that, obviously. I think most people get that. But step one is to do keyword research. I would recommend using a tool like the Google Keyword Planner, or even a third-party tool like semrush.com. I highly recommend that. You can do competitive research to see what your competitors are ranking for. You can type in domain names. You can type in a keyword and see the search volume. You can build keyword lists there. I would select, for a given page, I would select 3 to 5 primary keywords, 6 to 10 secondary, and then 30 related terms. And the reason you're going to build these keyword lists is because you want to understand all the searches taking place around that particular topic, so that you can fully understand really the full scope of the interest base around that given topic. Once you have that list, step 2 is to analyze the top 10 results. Make notes. What's there? What media is showing up? Are there videos? Are there images? Are there news stories? And ask yourself, can you do better? Can you create a document that incorporates multiple types of that media? Can you create a video that a good question is there a video ranking for that given search? If not, you can probably get one in there. Because Google does love different types of media for the search queries. So they actually want to diversify the results. Can you contribute something unique to that given search? Step 3 is really important. make a list of all the questions you intend to answer with your article, and I recommend 15 to 20. So write out, and an easy way to build a 1,000-word or a 1,500-word article is to write out 15 questions and just answer them with 100 words each. Just write out 15 questions that you think people might ask by landing on a page. That's an easy way to build out a 1,500-word article. And you're going to use those questions later as headlines, H2 tag headlines in your content. Step 4 is make a list of all the relevant and proof terms. I would check Wikipedia pages that rank for that given topic, and then also use the tool lsikeywords.com. Basically, what this allows you to do is analyze the top 10 results for a given search query and figure out what the most commonly used words are. So that'll give you a good insight into what kind of words need to be present on your pages to be considered for those top 10 results. I would go ahead and create or prepare 5 to 8 custom original images, take some snapshots, take some photos. Another tip on creating images is if you have a video that you've filmed or created, maybe of a property or of you working with a client or something like that, play the video on your computer and pause it, or as you go through it, take screenshots of different segments of the video. It's an easy way. You can grab 10 beautiful images from your video very quickly. You don't have to go out and do a photo shoot. It's a commonly overlooked strategy to build out image content, because it is, you don't want to have a graphic designer. Maybe you do. I don't. But if I need to create 5 to 8 custom images real quick, I'll typically find a video that supports the search term that I'm going to try and rank for, and I'll just go and snag a bunch of image content from that video. And if you have a video to use, then prepare that too. Maybe you want to upload it to YouTube and plan to embed it in your content. But adding a video to your content will really help as well. Step 7 is source or create any other rich media. Maybe you want to PDF the article when you're done writing it and upload that as a link. Maybe you want to transcribe the audio or do a voiceover of the what I meant was do a voiceover of your article. You could read it into a microphone, record it, and upload it as an MP3 file, and then link that from your content. There's a lot of things you can do with rich media. You could create a video. If you wanted a means to produce content, what you could do is film a 60-second video. You could transcribe it into an article. You could create an MP3 audio version of it. You could take 10 screenshots from the video, and boom, you have all kinds of rich content. 60 seconds of filming a video. So there's a way to have a content production flow, depending on the nature of your business, depending on your goals with content. It's another thing. Just make sure you set some goals. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do with SEO, with your website? And make sure that don't just go crazy creating a bunch of content that isn't vetted by some sort of goal you're trying to achieve. Maybe content and SEO is a big part of your business model. It's certainly for many, but make sure that it makes sense for you before you go out doing all this preparation and stuff like that. And then the last items here are you create your internal linking and your external linking. Whatever you plan to link to and link from your article. And then once you have all this prepared, just go ahead and build your article. And I know it seems like a lot of steps, but you can actually create really big documents and really, really powerful resources with not a lot of time. And maybe it's not you doing this. Maybe you just give this formula to your intern or your assistant or somebody that's up and coming in your social media department to just go ahead and go through this process for you. You can knock out dozens of these in a month, no problem. So this slide right here is a hierarchy of importance. There's a lot of ranking factors. It's probably not going to, at first glance, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't even really make sense to me unless I stare at it for about 10 minutes. So it's just to let you know that there's a lot of factors here. This is relating to content specifically. The relevance of your content is the most important. So you've got to write on a given topic. proof terms, what we talked about, looking at Wikipedia, making sure that your content to be what it's about by the related terms you're using, internal links, the length of the content itself, the use of images, and everything we just talked about. Basically a hierarchy of importance here. Okay, so here's a case study. I wanted to give you a proof of concept. I'm not going to just tell you all of this without showing you some sort of proof that it works. This is essentially, it's like a 2,000 word or 1,500 word article. It includes, I think, 11 unique images, somewhere around 20 questions as headlines, 4 embedded videos from YouTube, and this is on our OCSEO.com site. There's a short link in the corner if you want to look at it, or you can see it from the main navigation by clicking the About Us tab. But here's what I did. Let's go. Orange County SEO workshop, SEO training in Orange County, SEO education Orange County. Some pretty competitive terms. Orange County is one of the most highly sought after SEO verticals for local geographic related SEO terms. And so what I did was I created this page and published it and ranked it in the top 5 results within 24 hours. That's pretty amazing. I was even impressed by the turnaround time on this ranking. This basically means as soon as Google found it, they ranked it in the top 5. So you can see here the first arrow, the red arrow in the right. I published this page on September 15th. The first date that Google found it was the day after. I thought they took a little too long to find and index the page, but a day later they found it and indexed it in the top 5 results, and you can see screenshots of that below here. So this is just an example of how how well this content works. So another SEO suggestion is be a brand, and you'll get a lot of recommendations from people and marketers, about branding and brand strategy and all this kind of stuff. You probably never heard this from an SEO person before, but being a brand will actually give you an advantage in search. And what I mean by that is you have a website, you have a business name, your business is verified in Google, you're on the map essentially, you're listed with directories, you have a brand name. And you focus your brand on specific things. You're topically relevant for certain things. And the reason this is an advantage to you is because in tight vertical markets, especially geographical spaces, being a brand will actually give you an advantage to take over some rankings. You may have some very big sites in your space kind of claiming those top listings, but if you show up as a brand that specializes in specific content topics and specific geographical regions, you can take over those big sites very easily if Google recognizes you as a brand. Brands are given a lot of favorability right now and seem to be immune to other certain criteria that other sites are struggling with, because Google treats brands in a very unique way, and they're given the best possible reward, which is the top position in search. So here's a ranking factor summary for you. This is the full list of all the things that matter. This is not just content. This takes into account social linking, the number of links pointing to your site, the technology that we haven't talked about today. But this is just to give you a view and to open your mind to the fact that it's not just content. It's a lot more than that. It's actually, a pretty comprehensive situation here where you've got a lot of different moving pieces. The summary from this is that content and its quality and the use of rich media is proving to trump a lot of other factors. The user engagement metrics on your site, so how long people are staying on your site, whether or not people are liking your content, it's emerging as a very dominant factor. It largely depends on site quality and usability of your site. Social signals like Facebook shares, tweets, Google Pluses, Pinterest pins, things like that are playing a very strong role in high rankings. link metrics, meaning the number of links from other sites pointing to yours. Things like citations within the news, external citations pointing to you from other domains are absolutely necessary to rank high as well. And that well-structured websites with clean code and fast load times are performing a lot better than those without. And if you have not learned anything yet, which I hope you have, and I hope this was interesting, but kangaroos cannot jump backwards. I found that to be a very fun Snapple fact that I thought I'd throw in here. And if you've learned absolutely nothing yet, and unless you're an expert on kangaroos, maybe you just learned something just then. Okay, so that is my presentation on content. I can go ahead and remove this screen share on the slide presentation, and we can resume with looking at Chris's beautiful face. But this basically says, hey, if you need help, you can hire me or my team or give us a call. Our website is ocseo.com. Our phone number is 949-494-0007. You can email me directly with questions, or if you need help, you can talk to a wizard. We've got a lot of brilliant people on our staff, and we'd be glad to help you with any or all of everything we just went through. Okay, so hopefully I just was that my standing ovation?
Yeah, and I know that Google is so awesome that they actually, there's an applause app or something in here somewhere, but I don't want to take 10 minutes to try to find it. But there is some little app in there. I was playing with it one day, and it's like a whole audience would be yay. So maybe we'll have to do that for one of the next presentations.
Yeah, I would. Next time, I expect that to be in full effect, please.
Yeah. Tyler, that was one of the most awesome presentations I've seen in quite some time, and I am definitely looking forward to the next class, which will follow soon. So I think we'll save all the questions probably until the very last session, because you will probably answer many questions that I have and that our audience has in the next module, and then subsequent modules as well. So I think maybe we'll just kind of encapsulate everything and just come full circle at the end. So stay tuned for more of, Tyler Collins and his awesome presentations to come regarding SEO, and I'm sure there is really a lot more coming, and I can't wait. The suspense is killing me. But I think we can wrap up here, Tyler. That was awesome. Thank you very much for today, and tune in next time, folks, and to learn more awesome stuff about SEO, and as well some more interesting facts from Snapple regarding marsupials and things of that nature. But no, good stuff, Tyler. That's pretty much that was as expected.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me, Chris. This has been a pleasure, and yeah, just stay tuned. I guess lots more good stuff to come.
Yeah,
thanks,
yeah.
Chris.
The pleasure was definitely all mine, and we'll see you everybody on the next episode of Lead Generation University, and have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.